This is the Italian opening, and usually the games look something like this. d3, d6, castles, castles, h3, h6, rook e1, rook e8, knight b2, bishop e6, and the same nonsense every single game, right? And it's boring. Why would you want to play positions like this? So let me show you how to make the games more exciting. So pay attention for the next 7 and something minutes, because you're gonna learn a lot. So after bishop c4, they have two main moves, bishop to c5 and knight to f6. Let's first look at bishop to c5. So you play c3 as usual, they develop the knight, and now you go d4, okay? Do not go d3, go d4. And after they take, you do not even take back, you just hit the knight with e5, okay? So again, you play d4 and you strike in the center with e5. Now there is a lot going on. The best move is d5, so let's look at this line first. They have to play d5, otherwise you're better, okay? You just move the bishop, so you pin the knight. They jump in the center and now you recapture back the pawn, so you have a nice center. They're probably gonna go with the check and then you block. They take with the knight, let's say, you take back and now they castle. So you get this position, okay? Here you can just castle. Now the most popular move is bishop to g4, after which you just take this knight, okay? Because the point of this opening is you're gonna target this weakness. So you're just gonna put the pieces here to attack the weakness. So now let's say something like h3, kick the bishop, they're probably not gonna take, and now you go queen to c2, okay? They defend with the queen, and now you move this, the f rook to c1. The point is, let's say they want to counter-attack this pawn, so let's say takes, 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 takes. This pawn is already defended, so you can move the knight, and this position is already +1 for white. So you can analyze this more on your own. But this is basically what we're trying to get, right? We're trying to get an endgame where we can easily pick off the black weaknesses. Now back to this position, let's look at the second most popular move, which is knight to g4, attacking the pawn. So you take in the center, they go check, you block, they castle, you go h3, knight to h6 is forced, and you just take the knight. You go queen d2 attacking the pawn, and now if they're brave, they're gonna defend the pawn and thinking how are you gonna attack, right? But you just attack the bishop. If the bishop moves back, you go b4, but probably they're gonna take, you take with the queen, and now d6. Here you have two options. You can castle long or you can castle short. Let's first look at long castles. If you castle long, they're gonna take, you take back, they go queen to e7, you go check, queen blocks, you let the queen trade, you're happy with trading queens. They go bishop to f5, let's say, you develop another rook. And now it's really hard for them to make progress. Because the point is you want to get in, right? And let's say they, I don't know, they attack the pawn. This is the best computer move. Now you just get in, right? And if they take it, now you go, let's say, rook to e4, and the point is you're gonna check them away, right? And the bishop cannot move because it's pinned. So you can explore this position on your own, but it's really hard for black to make progress. And the position is like +2 or +3 for white, okay? Now, if you castle, so in this position, if you castle short, let's say d, now you can push, knight goes back, you take with the knight, and now let's say the best move is f6, after which you just play rook to e1. If they take the knight, well, it's really bad. Takes. And if they go back, you have a discovered attack, and they're literally getting mated. If they go here, now we have queen to g3. Let's say, okay, this is the best move. And now we just go queen to h4, and you take the knight with interest. The point is, this move is basically mate. Obviously they can block, but you can see the position is +10. Only move to survive is queen takes rook. Because, I mean, there is just so many threats, right? You can also just bring in another rook. Like, you have a lot of options here. Now back to this position, the last move I'm gonna show is knight to e4. There is also, let's say, queen to to e7, but this is rare, after which you just castle, right? And then you're gonna take in the center and so on. But let's look at knight to e4. Here you have to also know bishop to d5, right? Because the point is they have to first play d5 so they can anchor in the knight. And if they immediately move the knight, well, now they do not have this d5 move in. So you can go bishop to d5, right? Attacking the knight. Now, here you have to know one variation. If they sacrifice here, right? You take, they take with check, and now go king to g3, okay? Yes, it looks bad, but it's not, okay? They take another pawn and you recapture. So they have 3 pawns for the piece. And they castle. Now you remove this knight, okay? They're not gonna take back with this pawn, because then you can just trade queens and you're fine. So they take back with the b pawn. Now you go queen to c2, attacking the bishop and developing the queen. They go back, and now we go h3. And that's basically all you need to know. Then you just bring in the knight and bring in the rooks and you're up a piece. So this is what happens if they play bishop to g5. But what if they go knight to f6? Well, here you're obviously gonna go for knight to g5. If they play d5, you take, they go knight to a5. This is the main line. Now, if they take here, you can take this pawn, okay? This is a common trap, and I'm not gonna cover it in this video. Basically, the only 2 moves are knight to d7 or knight to b4. You can research this on your own. There is also, let's say, b5 in this position, after which, again, you have to do your own research. You go bishop f1, and then there are a couple of lines. But the main line is knight to a5, after which you go check, they block, you take, they take back with the pawn, and now we go bishop to d3, okay, bishop d3. Now 2 moves. The best move is knight to d5, attacking your knight. You go knight to f3, attacking this pawn. They go bishop d6, defending the pawn. You castle, they castle, and I go, let's say, rook to e1. You're gonna tug the bishop back to f1. You're gonna play knight to c3. You're gonna play, let's say, d3 and develop the other bishop as well. You can also do it via b3, bishop b2. And you're just up a pawn, but you have to defend a couple of moves just so that white doesn't get a massive initiative. Now, if we go back to the other position, the most popular move is h6, after which you move the knight back to e4. Do not go back to f3 because you get forked, okay? So e4. They take, you take back. Now, if they go something like f5, which is the most popular move, you just go queen to h5 and you pick this pawn up. So this is just totally winning. But let's say they do the same thing. Let's say bishop to d6. Well, now you just castle. They castle, and now you can just go d3. The point is, now f5, you go bishop f3, and there is no e4 because it's defended by the bishop and by the pawn. You just go rook e1, knight e3, and it's the same thing, right? And you're just up a pawn.